Hello.
We're on.
Live. I think we'll just wait a couple of minutes for people to join,
That is totally
which
fair.
is really exciting. So we are currently streaming on LinkedIn and YouTube, which is very exciting. So Jamie, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hope we're all having a wonderful day.
Yes. So this is really, really exciting. So we'll just wait for a few more people to join in. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea.
Very exciting to talk about some brand marketing and social media today.
Exactly. This webinar is going to be looking a little bit differently because everybody is used to seeing the wonderful Mystro CEO Dimitri every single week talking about the innovations and products that we've been working on Mystro. But today I will be leading the webinar. And so what we understand is there are a lot of challenges that mortgage brokers experience on a day-to-day basis when it comes to onboarding clients. But luckily, Mystro has you sorted. And so we also have another webinar or live stream on Friday at 11 a.m. just to plug that in there for people who want to hear more about Mystro. And Dimitri will be back Friday at 11 a.m. But when it comes to branding and marketing and social media, I'm your girl. And for those sorts of areas, it can be a little bit harder to grasp unless you have somebody in the know. And so that's why Jamie and I are here to help you today. It's really exciting. This is kind of the first brand marketing and social media live stream that we've done. Because we do understand that it's not an area that a lot of people know about, but it is an area that really helps you grow your business. So what I'm going to go through today is really very much the importance of brand marketing and social media and how to navigate this tricky landscape. So during this webinar, we are joined by the lovely Jamie Serena, who is the social media coordinator, and have a discussion about what's happening within the social media space and how different channels can help you find new customers. And as always, if you have questions at any point of this live stream, feel free to ask questions and we'll do our best to answer them. This webinar is also recorded, so you can come back and have a listen, have a look. Feel free to take notes. But yeah, I think we'll probably get started. Does that sound good to you, Jamie?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, let's jump in.
Perfect. All right. So my screen is shared with everybody, but let's get straight into it. So very much we understand that at Mystro that marketing might not be the priority for mortgage brokers. It's often the last thing you think about when you start your business, but in my opinion, it should be one of the first things that you should consider. We're always in the search for the right audience and connecting with the right customer, but how you reach them effectively can be challenging. So this is where marketing comes in. When you start your business, you have a logo, you have a name, you have a website, and these are all elements that help consumers identify your brand. And we're really fortunate at Mystro that Dimitri has built this wonderful platform where we really customize solutions for each individual brand, each individual business, each company to really extend and amplify those branding opportunities for that particular business. And so these are all very important things, whether you're a sole trader, a small to medium business, or an enterprise level client, you all have a brand identity. But identifying who you are, what you do, and why you do it are all essential questions in identifying your brand. And it's really the backbone of marketing, wouldn't you say, Jamie?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you don't define who you are and what your brand identity is, how can you know that you're going to have a strong line of communication to those that you want to communicate with? You need to know who you are first.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think when it comes to branding and what you are, what you do, or who you are, what you do and why you do it are essential in identifying all of those ways, enabling you to communicate more effectively with your consumer. And I think also identifying who you're speaking to is extremely important and being able to resonate with them on those different mediums. So now I'm going to go into next slide, which is very much like the importance of brand marketing. So knowing the answers to your who, what, and why is the most important thing in identifying your brand, because it will help also determine your messaging, which is what Jamie mentioned before. And this is the one thing that probably shouldn't change through the growth of your business, which is your what, your who, and your why. So now, after you've determined those 3 questions, you've kind of nailed your messaging. That your messaging tactics will probably come into light once you've answered those questions. But once you've nailed your messaging, consistency in your messaging is key. So figuring out what's important to your customer and what will resonate is necessary in building your brand to consumer connection. So focus on one message across all your channels and just run with it. And so what I mean by that is, when you're going through your who, your what, and your why, and identifying what those things are, you'll be able to pull different elements of that to succinct your message into one brand identity, and then being able to reiterate that across multiple channels. And this comes down to the second part, which is frequency. Once you've identified your messaging, building the frequency in which you communicate across your choice of channels is really important. So if you have a website, ensuring that your messaging across there is really clear and identifiable. And then across any of your social media channels and also your personal channels is a way and is essentially an amplification tool to then push across different platforms. Ooh, okay. So Dimitri's just sent a message just saying that a number of brokers can't join due to the Optus network issues. I've had a couple of things today from people who are like, couldn't message, couldn't call due to Optus. So damn you, Optus. But that's okay, because this webinar is recorded, which means that you guys can revisit this at any point in time. And Dimitri, like, these webinars and these live streams are something that Mystro will be doing weekly, and is something that we want to continue to offer you guys as we move forward, to help you guys grow your businesses. That's very much our mantra. That's very much the purpose of why we're here today. This is why we've kind of segued into more of a brand and marketing and social media conversation, because we do understand that those are some of the pain points and areas that you guys want more information about. So keep sending through your messages, keep sending through your emails about things that you want to know from Mystro, and Dimitri and I will help formulate that for you and bring on guests to be able to speak to you guys about what you want to know. So anyway, back to what I was speaking about, frequency. So building frequency is really, really important. Once you've identified your brand, your channels, the frequency in which you post, the frequency in which you publish your content needs to be consistent. So there's consistency in messaging, but there's also consistency in how often you post and on which channels. And I think a lot of people can be really discouraged about not receiving engagement initially, because this is all about familiarizing yourself with your audience and your messaging. It takes on average about 9 times before a consumer will actively engage with your brand and before you move up in their consideration mindset. So please don't feel discouraged if you don't get the amount of response or engagement that you would expect, because it's all about consistency and frequency. You just got to keep trying. You're never going to be the best at something when you first try, but it's all about practice, isn't it?
100%.
So all of these points of the ability to change a client's perception, to increase their engagement with your business and alter their consideration mindset. So I really want you to think about that when you're moving forward with your messaging, in the growth of your business. So enough about kind of like brand marketing 101. We've got the who, we've got the why, and we've got the how. We've spoken about nailing your messaging, selecting your challenge channels, and then also the frequency in which you post. It has to be sustainable for your business. So if that's once a week, be consistent with that. If it's twice or 3 times, continue on with that. But I think you really need to put yourself in the shoes of your consumer, because thinking a little bit more laterally and understanding what are their pain points will help you be able to service them better. And it's all about client and customer satisfaction at the end of the day. You want to be able to build those connections, those relationships that will provide you with long-standing clients time and time again. Because we understand in this market, people are wanting still that Australian dream about owning their first home, being able to refinance effectively, and dealing with people that they trust. And we know that trust is a huge, important factor about connection with a potential consumer. So brand messaging in that can also help change that perception and then provide that level of service that other mortgage brokers might not be able to do. Cool. So now moving on to a more fun topic, which a lot of people are a little bit scared to discuss, which is social media. So
Yay.
a bit of background, I've been working in the social media space for basically my whole entire career. I've worked in the media industry and have watched publications and businesses have a lot of organic growth over the first initial years of the social media boom. But now we've hit this kind of landscape where it's kind of plateaued. And clients, brands, consumers are way more selective about where they spend their attention and where they spend their time. As we know, time is the one thing that you kind of, I guess you can't get back in life. And so it is the most valuable commodity. So once you've obviously answered the who, what, and why, we need to obviously determine your channels. So this is essentially a way to strengthen your brand presence. And we understand that the social media space can be quite daunting because there are so many different ones. And on this page here, I've only listed the top 10. So we're speaking about obviously Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I can't even read that because it's so small, and apologies for that. So if you guys would like me to speak about any particular, I guess, platform, let me know. But we've got, yes, Pinterest, Twitter, or as now it's called X, Snapchat, iMessage, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger as well. So there are a number of different platforms and mouthpieces in which to connect with your consumers, but identifying which one works for you is really imperative in terms of the growth of your business. Mm-hmm. So most businesses don't know where to start when it comes to social media. There are so many platforms, and I can tell you right now, you do not need to be on all of them. I think that's probably the number one biggest mistake that most businesses have, is that they want to be on all of them. Firstly, it's not sustainable. You can't be something to everybody. And also, I think a lot of businesses, because there are so many people on those platforms, they think they're going to be able to reach them all effectively, but it's not about reaching 2 million people or 2 billion people effectively. It's about reaching your particular consumer effectively and knowing what platforms they're using. So for most of you, you'll probably have the very minimum, a website, maybe Facebook and maybe Instagram. And for those of you that don't have, I guess, presence on those platforms, I can tell you there's obviously a way to still reach your consumer if you only have a website. But I highly encourage you guys to explore the different platforms and understanding who's on them, when they're on them, and if your consumer's on there, how to reach them. So there are also generational differences between platforms, and there are different functionalities for different platforms, which I'm going to go into as well. And so they might not be suitable for all businesses, but it's about knowing what's going to work for you and what's going to work for your business, and all about sustainable growth as well. Because I don't want you to, I guess, start an account or open an account on every single platform and then only service that platform maybe once a fortnight. Not good enough. It comes back to that message of brand marketing where we're like, consistency and frequency are key. So you need to be consistent and frequent across the channels that you choose. So being really selective about those platforms is really important. So I'm going to go into the next slide, and we're going to go through the functionality and understanding what each platform kind of provides and if that's right for your business. So here we've got Facebook, we've got Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And those are just some of the handful of platforms that we could talk about. But as you can see, Facebook has the largest number of unique users on their platform per month. So they just have under 3 billion people using their platform per month, which is ridiculous. And for early adopters of Facebook, it was used as a way to update all of your friends and close friendship groups, family members. But now I very much see Facebook as a marketplace. It's where community groups go to thrive, and it's also used as an events page. So the functionality of Facebook has definitely transitioned with the growth of the business. And as you can see, there are still 3 billion active users on Facebook per month, which is phenomenal. So that includes individual pages, businesses, as well as active groups. And I think the greatest way to use Facebook is very much to engage community groups, because the community groups that use Facebook as a platform are actively on that day to day. It's really important to, I guess, penetrate those groups, but giving them value in a way, in content, in video, I guess in opinion pieces, in editorial, and diversifying what your messaging looks like, but still keeping your who, what, why at the core is really important. Jamie, are you on Facebook?
I am on Facebook. I have to admit, I got on Facebook like early days when it first came out. I'm very much that social media generation, and you're 100% right about that transition from it. It used to just be like posting the heavily filtered picture of your holiday, whereas now it really is like it's the community board of the internet. As you said, events, all of those things are on there. So it is still such an important platform. I think when Instagram and everything and TikTok popped up, everyone thought Facebook was like fading, and it probably has for some of those younger generations, but it's still so valid. It is still so important, and it reaches such a different audience to those other platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like to think of Facebook as like the OG of social media platforms. I mean, obviously post like Bebo and MySpace, but it has been able to diversify its offering in a way that still provides a lot of value for businesses, but also for their consumers, for their unique users. And that's why you still have 3 billion people on that platform. So for the next ones, I'm going to move quite quickly because I don't feel like they're as relevant to mortgage brokers and to businesses. But for those that want to try and understand a little bit more about the social media space, I can completely, obviously, go through them. So Jamie's just gone into audio mode, but that's absolutely fine. Hello.
My computer's gone into battery saver mode.
That's fine. You do you. So now we're going to talk about Pinterest. So Pinterest, I'm going to go through Pinterest because Pinterest is more of a, I guess, millennial platform. It's all about sourcing inspiration for a particular life event, a milestone, or for design purposes. So a lot of consumers will be using Pinterest, but it's not necessarily, I feel, an effective way to communicate with brands or potential consumers. So that's not one of the ones that I would highly recommend for businesses unless you're in the design space. Instagram, which is owned by Meta, which also includes Facebook, is one of the key ones in terms of brand recognition and also brand awareness. As you can see, there are 2.35 billion active users on Instagram per month. And it's astonishing how brands and businesses have been able to use Instagram as a platform and as a mouthpiece to communicate to new consumers and also to service existing ones. Naturally, with a lot of the brands that I work with and clients that I have worked with previously, a lot of them have used Instagram as a means to communicate their messaging to consumers. I think it's a great way to do that because a lot of people, in the way that they use social media, they use it as a search functionality. Gone are the days are very much where you would go to Google or you would go to a website direct. having social media as a way to engage potential consumers is really important, because the consumer journey now is very much, social media runs a lot of people's lives for people who are active on it. And they use it as a source of information. They use it as a source to gather data and to connect with friends. That is how social media works. And so I think that brands that use it effectively and that, I guess, connect with their consumers every single day are the ones that see kind of phenomenal growth in terms of brand recognition, awareness, consideration mindset, engagement, access to new audiences, because they are using particular platforms really effectively. So Instagram is definitely one of those social media platforms that I would highly recommend for businesses that are starting off. And then we're moving into TikTok, which feeds more into servicing Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So it's very much a younger demographic. A lot of, I guess, older millennials are also using TikTok, but I think in terms of being active creators on the platform, that's not something that they're doing. But I think it's really important for businesses to understand the influence and importance of video content. And TikTok does this really well, and they do lo-fi content really well, opposed to Instagram, who is its older counterpart, who have also implemented Reels and their own video platform structure. TikTok only does video, whereas Instagram, you can do video. There's a little bit more flexibility and diversity in content. But if you're a video heavy, I guess, content creator or business, and you would like to look into it, and you're a young business, TikTok is a really easy way to connect with consumers, because they, I guess, push and reward people who are new to the platform, and they push their content. As with any social media platform, if you're a new user, it's very important to start that conversation really early, identify your audience, and to have that consistency in your messaging and in the content that you publish. So TikTok is another one. They have the fastest amount of growth across their channel, which is over 130 million, I think, within the first 48 hours or 72 hours, which was phenomenal growth. And it's the fastest downloaded and amount of unique users that have signed up to a platform organically, which is phenomenal. I don't know how I feel about them deleting somebody's Instagram if they also delete their threads. It's a very clever tactic from Meta, but yes, Threads is also a really interesting way to connect with your consumers, very similar to X or X Twitter, in the way that you're able to provide a little bit more of your opinion. It's more of an opinion piece than I find a marketing tool, but they will be looking to release products and functionalities where brands are able to use those platforms a little bit more. And now we're moving on to YouTube, which is a really interesting one. It has over 2.7 billion users on that platform. And I think it's a fantastic way to create, I guess, branded content that is unique to your business. Obviously, YouTube is a bigger investment because it's more about long form content and quality content over short, interchangeable, transactional content. And the thing about YouTube as well is that it's all about consistency. Once you have built your audience, you have to actively communicate with them and actively connect with them, which means liking comments, engaging with comments, replying, and that goes across every single platform as well. Now we go on to my favorite platform, which is LinkedIn. And it's not 930 billion, apologies, there's a typo there. It's 930 million active users per month on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is probably one of the underestimated social media platforms to connect with, obviously, people who have a high household income, people who are in the professional circles. You're able to segment audiences really well on LinkedIn. And I think they're also diversifying their products and offerings and functionalities for businesses that want to advertise on this platform. So as LinkedIn continues to grow as a social media platform, you'll be able to, I guess, utilize that platform to connect with more like-minded people. So keep on LinkedIn. So my top recommendations would definitely be LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Any additions, Jamie, for you?
No, I think you pretty much said it all there, but I would 100% agree with those top three being kind of the main priorities, because I just think that they reach a really broad audience for most brands. As you said, things like TikTok and stuff can be quite niche in terms of the generation they reach. So I 100% agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really exciting. I think for people that are new to social media, use it as a test and learn. Test your content, test your who, test your what, test your why, and keep going at it. As I said, consistency and frequency are key, and selecting your appropriate channels is really important to the growth of your business. So don't try and do it all. Pick one, pick two, pick three, and see how that is sustainable within your business if you're able to consistently keep up with the demand for your content. And don't be afraid to actively engage with consumers that say both positive and negative things about your business. That's a part of, a large platform or a social media platform, is that you have that two-way conversation. Previously, when you talk about above the line advertising across TV, radio, you can't have that two-way conversation, but social media enables you to do that. So that's, I guess, the exciting thing for me as a marketer, is that there are these new mouthpieces to connect with new audiences. So definitely utilize them and use them in a way that's effective with your business.
And just to add a little something there, because you're talking about how, it needs to be like a learning, like test and learn with social media. I think one of the things we're seeing with social media as well is there's just no more BS with people anymore. Like, excuse the phrase, but there is, like, people really do want authentic interactions these days. They don't, like, you even see it like on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. You can even see it with the trends of production value. Like, people don't need these super high production fancy videos anymore. They just want really honest content. And it almost makes, personally, I think it makes social media less scary, because it's like, oh, I can actually be real. I can make a mistake. Not every video I post has to go viral and have 1 million views. It's like, as long as you are keeping that two-way communication open and you're being authentic and real to your brand, that who, what, why, it really does make social media a lot less scary and a lot less intimidating. So just embrace it. And like you said, test and learn. And just let yourself grow organically. It's all about that organic growth and that organic connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, at the end of the day, you're not going to know where your audience is, or you will, because we've just identified where the generational differences are between the platforms. But even going back to the platforms itself, with YouTube and LinkedIn particularly, there are a lot of generational mixes across those platforms. So also be open to trying new things. Not every platform is going to be the right fit for your brand, but you've got to test, you've got to learn. And like Jamie said, it is about being authentic, and it is about, like, don't get in the crux of having quality content all the time. We get that quality content is really important, but like we've seen across the growth of all of these different social media platforms, is that it is lo-fi content that is performing the best, but it's also very much just about having that consistency message. And being able to have that two-way conversation with your audience. So it means liking comments, responding to comments in a timely fashion, being really respectful, and going back to what your core values are as a brand. Cool. So to obviously summarize everything that we've gone, because we've gone through a lot, and then also not so much. I can deep dive and talk about all of this all day, because it is very much a complex landscape, and there are so many nuances across every single platform, across brand marketing in general. But in terms of my top 5 tips, it would be, number 1, know who you're talking to, know your audience. And a lot of people don't know who their audience are. And I think this really comes to very much market validation, and knowing what they want and putting yourself in their shoes. So that's my number one. Number two is answer the who, what, and why. It is so simple, but you would be astounded by how many brands don't do this, how many businesses that don't do this. And it can be really detrimental to their growth because their vision changes and they're all about that fast progression, but it's all about consistency at the end of the day. Which leads me into my third, which is number three. So consistency and frequency are key. As I said, ensure that you are being consistent with your messaging. You're talking about one purpose, and that you're, I guess, also consistency and frequent with the content that you're publishing. So being able to do that weekly, keep to the weekly schedule if that's sustainable for your business. If it's, bi-weekly, that's also fine. But from my experience and from what Jamie's experienced as well, you need to find a sweet spot for your business and how that is sustainable. And, so for us, we post at least 3 times a week and making sure that that's sustainable growth within our business. And we're slowly seeing that organic growth. Number 4, choose your channels carefully. Like we said at the start, you don't need to be everything to everybody, but you need to understand the functionalities of every single platform and then choose those platforms that best align with your business and what you're trying to achieve. So like I said, particularly for mortgage brokers and people who are in the professional service industry or in finance or fintech, it's very much for me, Facebook, Instagram, would very much consider YouTube if you have the budget and the time, and also LinkedIn. It's very, very easy to be able to transform and translate your messaging across one platform and amplify that across multiple. You just need to find a way to do that really effectively. That's not going to take you hours and hours and hours. And then number 5 is don't be afraid to try new things. I know that's really, really simple, but don't be discouraged about the lack of engagement or lack of response. It takes time and you have to test and learn and use that opportunity to test out different content varieties, different elements, but make sure that you're being consistent. Make sure that your messaging obviously has synergy across multiple channels. But yeah, just try, test and learn, and have the confidence that it will work. Mm-hmm. But that is basically it. So those are my top 5 tips. Jamie, do you have any others?
100% agree with all 5 of those. And then, yeah, again, I really do push that authenticity. I just think and authentic will look different for every brand. Like obviously authentic for a brand that's, selling fun, wacky clothes is going to look very different to authentic for mortgage brokers. It's completely different ballgame. But again, just keep answering that who, what, why. Stay authentic to what you're trying to communicate, what you're trying to offer people. And yeah, if you're just authentic, people connect with that these days. It's that no BS market that we're in.
Absolutely. Yeah, people don't have time to have that fluffiness, it's like, no, let's get down to business.
Absolutely.
So obviously we are so happy to get questions or receive questions at any point in time. If you have questions now, feel free to send them through. And also if you'd like to email me with any questions, I'm happy to answer them at any point in time. We'd also love to get your feedback on what you'd like to see from these live streams. As I mentioned, Dimitri will be back on Friday, so you'll have a familiar face. But we want to keep diversifying what we're talking about on these webinars and these live streams to give you guys the tools to grow your business. And Mystro provides you with such wonderful tools to be able to do that, to have more efficiency and productivity in your workflow. And as he's mentioned before, there are so many innovations and new products. So please keep coming back week after week. We really want to improve these training sessions with you. But thank you everybody who came in to speak about brand marketing and social media. Dimitri will be back on Friday to share some new exciting developments. But it's been very much an absolute pleasure to speak with you this morning. I'm sure Jamie can share the sentiment.
Yes, absolutely. It was a great time here learning from you as well, Kim. Always learning from you, but it was so wonderful being joined and getting to talk about brand marketing and social media in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned before, if at any time that you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I will also share my email with you guys. So it's just kim@mystro.com.au. But yeah, feel free to send through any suggestions, anything that you guys want to see for the next one. But as I mentioned, Dimitri will be with you guys on Friday. But have enjoy the rest of your day, and we will speak to you guys again soon. So thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.